What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Movies That Make You podcast. Season 2 is in full gear, and so we are super excited for what we got going on this season. Just to let you know what that means, we still have our weekly Prepisodes where we discuss movies to watch in preparation for a new release hitting theaters. I got my buddy POPpaGoss on those each and every week. Those drop on Mondays at 6 a.m. Also, we have our Creators Conversations. This is where we're interviewing people from the business and beyond to discuss what they do to create and how they create their art. So be on the lookout for that on YouTube. We're also doing our monthly watch-alongs where we pick a movie to watch. We live stream our conversation while we're watching the film on YouTube. This week, we're prepping for the Devil Wears Prada 2. Kristen's going to be back again. We'll be talking about a bunch of fashion movies such as Cruella, The Intern, Confessions of a Shopaholic, The Devil Wears Prada, and Legally Blonde. We hope you also check out our website at moviesthatmakeyoupodcast.com. There you can see all of our social links. You can listen to the podcast. You can watch the podcast. We also have our merch store. You can find tons of merch for Movies That Make You and our friends. We also have a link to our letterbox where you can see all the movies that we watch in preparation for the new releases, but also the movies that make you laugh, the movies that make you cry, the movies that make you scream, and everything in between. So before we get to this week's episode, let's check out what we got coming up on the Movies That Make You podcast. Tonight, April 27th, 2026, is the 70th anniversary of Godzilla being released in the United States. So tonight, we are going to celebrate that by watching the original Godzilla. POPpaGoss and I are going to jump on a live stream over on our YouTube channel, so check it out. Next week, we are kicking off Star Wars month with our first of 3 Star Wars episodes with Scott, Raymond, and Chris Valentine, who are going to be our experts for those weeks. May 4th, we've got the Animated Galaxy. We're going to be talking about all of the animated shows in preparation for the Darth Maul finale that drops that night. On Friday, May 8th at 2 p.m. Central, we are going to be premiering our interview with Wes Clark and Halston Mann, the writer, director, and star of the movie How to Start a Cult in 5 Easy Steps. This is such a fun conversation that POPpaGoss and I got to have with this team, and we are excited to share it with you. So don't forget to mark your calendar and join us over on our YouTube channel. 2 p.m. Central. See you there. The week after that, we're taking a break from the Star Wars month for 1 week of Mortal Kombat. We're going to have Zeke back on the show to talk about the 90s versions of those films. And then Josh and I will discuss the most recent R-rated version. And we're excited for the new one that comes out. We hope you are too. The week after that, we are back to our Star Wars month with the live action shows with Scott Raymond and Chris Valentine as we discuss all of the Disney Plus shows in preparation for The Mandalorian and Grogu hitting theaters that Friday. On May 19th, we've got an epic live stream for you guys. We're going to be watching Scream, but we're also going to be prepping for Texas Frightmare that's happening that Friday. We're going to be jumping on around 7 p.m. Central that Tuesday night, and we're going to be inviting POPpaGoss, obviously the co-host of Movies That Make You, but we've got the Horror Green Book, we've got the Spooky Okie, we've got Horror Cat Dad, and we've got Laser Wagon and his buddy that he does the podcast with. So we're super stoked. It's going to be an epic episode. We're going to be talking all things Frightmare, all things horror cons related, and we're super stoked. So hope you're excited. The week after that, we're finishing out our Star Wars month by talking about all the video games. So this will be the Gaming Galaxy featuring Scott Raymond and Chris Valentine back for one final episode of our Star Wars month to celebrate this great franchise. Hope those episodes excite you. So without further ado, let's get to the podcast. We are back with another episode of the Movies That Make You podcast. I'm Sprang. I'm joined by my co-host POPpaGoss, and we got our
howdy everyone.
We got our special guest here, Kristen, my wife. She was here last week to talk about music for the Michael Prepisode, and she's back this week to talk about fashion because Devil Wears Prada 2 drops this Friday. So we're going to talk about a few movies that fashion plays a big part of the storyline. But before we do that, let's jump in, kind of do a little bit of a catch up. POPpaGoss, how was your week?
My week has been pretty good, actually. The weather has changed dramatically. So today it's not cold, but way cooler than it's been. It's been kind of muggy. We had some heavy rain last night. Our lawnmower, we have 2 lawnmowers, and both of them are broken right now. Oh. One was here when we moved in. It's like a brand new mower, but the guy who lived here before didn't really use it, and he's in the military, so he moved to Hawaii, and he just kind of left a lot of his big things here at the house. So when we moved in, we had 2 grills, we had 2 lawnmowers, we had a fridge, a washer, all that stuff was already here. So our mower that we have had for like 6 years that has worked, it's a cheaper one, but it works fine. It's just not, something's off. So my neighbor luckily works on cars and stuff next door. So I took it over there, and then he got it to work for a second, but then I tried to start it up. I got the springs replaced, and that didn't work. So he let me borrow his mower yesterday because I was like, man, we got to mow our backyard. Can I? He's like, yeah, man, no problem. So he's gonna take a look. We're gonna try to fix the mower that is somewhat working. But yeah, just kind of hanging out. I haven't really done anything on my channel this week. I think I put out one short showing off. There's a ice cream parlor here in Norman, Oklahoma. And it's horror themed when you walk in. It's called the Ice Creamatory.
That's fun.
It has like they have like autographs on the wall, and they've got like like a Michael Myers and a ghost face mannequin inside, and a wheel that like you tell your future, what like, you spin it.
Mhm.
It's really cool, and they have all these like different ice cream themes. Like there's like a ghost face one, and there's a Halloween. They have like different themed ones, but I wanted to make a little short showing how cool that because we had never been because we the one time we tried to go there they were like closed on that day of the week, so we got
Mhm.
there and we're like, oh, bummer. So we were in Norman for the Renaissance Fair last weekend, and that was a lot of fun. On the way home, we were like, "Let's go see if that place is open," and we did. And yeah, it's a cool little spot. So
Cool.
just been chilling.
Nice. Yeah, man. I've been doing a lot of editing for the podcast because we got and had an interview drop earlier, like a couple weeks ago, with Jorge Zulapa. Also edited the interview with Wes Clark and Halston Mann for their work on how to start a cult in 5 easy steps.
Yeah,
That's going to be
great movie.
dropping in a couple weeks. And then I also did want to mention too, like we just had a live stream this past Friday to watch One Cut of the Dead. So if you haven't watched that movie, you want to watch it along with us, feel free to jump on there, throw that on while you're watching. And then also a special live stream happening tonight to watch Godzilla. This is the 70th anniversary of Godzilla. And so
Nice.
of the release, the date of release, people were in the theater watching this for the first time. That's just bonkers to me. So we're going to join them. So that's been fun for the podcast. I had some sickness this week, and so I was able to get to the urgent care and get a steroid shot and some steroid packs. And so I'm feeling like tons better today than I did the
I
last couple
bet.
of days. So it's crazy.
Yeah, we never sleep in other rooms, but he was snoring so bad. I was like, "Sorry, dude, I'm out.
Oh man.
Guest room it is."
Yeah. And then last night I was like, I'm just going to go in there for you so
Yeah.
you can just rest and not be woken up and all that stuff.
Yeah, same
That's so
here. Like
funny.
just allergies. I think with all the weather change and the
Hmm.
wind, and it just has everything's blooming, right? And then the
Yeah.
wind, and so, anyways, I'm dealing with
Yeah,
that too.
my I sound a little not bad today, but like the last 2 mornings I woke up and I was all stuffed up, but it's mainly allergy. So I took some allergy pills. I'm all right, but yeah, just been I'm on my like third cup of coffee too, so that helps keep my throat lubricated.
Yeah.
We did actually on Thursday of this week, we went to see the national
Semifinals.
semifinals for
Oh,
national
nice.
college gymnastics, women's gymnastics. And then we're going today. So we're supporting our team.
Woo,
So they're in the
Norman.
Final Four again. So hoping that
Man, those are sweet.
they are fire.
Christmas.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That
Yeah,
was
no,
the
OU's
got one Christmas present this year, and that was it.
OU's like we have the Thunder, but like we don't have any other pro teams. So like OU's like no
Yeah.
matter what sport it is, they're like a pro team here. So
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's
they're
fun.
great.
Yeah.
So we got to see Florida. There was a major upset with Michigan. No,
Oh wow.
Minnesota was an
Minnesota.
in-state. So they didn't even make it to, like, they weren't even ranked in the top 10, and they made it to the semifinals, and they actually made it to the Final Four. So
Holy moly.
super stoked to see that today.
Yeah. And it's crazy. The rankings are in gymnastics are different than a lot of other sports. Like in football, you can't just count up the score of each game and like say, all right, this is what all the points everybody scored for the year and let's rank them. But that's how gymnastics is. It's data.
So it's like each week it can
like,
shift.
Yeah, each
Crazy.
week how they did, how they participated. It's based on in network or like in conference games, and then there's like 2 or 3 conference games you start. So it's like it's a calculation. It's not like a ranking based on who you competed against. It's just how well did you score. So to have a team that was not in the top 10 schools make it even to the semifinals is a big deal.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
crazy.
they knocked out. Who did they knock out? It was They knocked out
Somebody big.
Utah
Yeah,
in
Utah.
the semifinal before, and then at LSU and Minnesota.
Yeah.
So
And Florida.
and Florida.
So
and
Florida, I got to start
Oklahoma.
getting some Florida gear because Sky Blakely, she's our girl. And
Nice.
she's great. Her parents are amazing, super cool. But yep.
Yeah, we met her parents a few years ago,
hmm
and her, Sky Blakely, and then we found out after talking to her that she's like an Olympic hopeful, and so like anytime that there's a Florida meet in town, we go and try and see them, and then her parents are always there, so we always get to connect with them. So
Super genuine, great
Yeah.
people.
yeah,
So-
absolutely.
But yeah, so super excited for that today. Just hope that everybody does well, stays safe, does their best.
Yep, absolutely.
But yeah,
One pop reference is I got my Blake Bortles pop in the mail.
it came in a
found
nice
Man,
box.
I forgot to send you. I was at Ross. Ross has been putting out like crazy items, like toys and collectibles for crazy discounted prices. So, but I have been trying to hit him up, trying to find these. They have these Batman the animated series. They were for San Diego Comic-Con a couple years ago, but they're mystery film cell like pictures that they're already framed, but they're mysteries. So you open them up and they have like, I don't know, 20 different ones. But people are finding them at Ross for like $5.99. So I'm trying to find those. So I've been on the hunt for those. But I saw a really nice Jaguars hat at the Ross I went to the other day.
Nice.
It had like it's one of those hats that has like the rope,
Yeah.
like kind of like the old man hats. I like those hats a lot, but it was cool. I'll send you the picture of it. But
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah, that's cool, man. Good
Yeah,
old
so-
Blake Bortles.
I know. So we're going to the Star Wars Con later this year with Zeke. Zeke and I are going, and I'm going to have Manny Jacinto sign it because he was
Nice.
in The Good Place. For those of you who don't know, he played. I can't remember his character in the Acolyte,
Was
but
it
he was
Jason?
he was Jason in The Good Place. Yeah, he just plays like an idiot from Jacksonville, and it's just like the whole show is just picking on Jacksonville the whole time with his character. It's
Yeah.
so funny, but like every few episodes, he'd say something about Bortles, and so I thought it'd be a funny like mashup to have him sign the Bortles pops.
Yeah, I need the last time the Jaguars were like good, Blake Bortles was the quarterback. So like they went to the AFC Championship. I forget what year that was, but they lost to the Patriots, I think. It was like Tom Brady's, not his final Patriots season, but I think it was like his second to last.
Yeah.
But yeah, Blake Bortles was fun to watch. He kind of didn't get I saw him recently on something. He was being interviewed. I think it was him, and he has some like interesting new like hobby that he does or something. But
Okay.
yeah, it was pretty cool.
Nice. Well, cool. That's our catch up for the week. And I did want to also let you all know we've got a new segment we're going to be doing for each movie on each episode. When we have a movie, we're going to call it the POPpaGoss Backlot Breakdown. He's going to run into all the details. He does such a great job of kind of doing the research and finding out some cool facts about the behind the scenes. So we're going to actually title it that, and we're going to have a lot graphic and all that stuff. So we're super excited to have him do that because he does it already. So let's just highlight it. So this is the first week we're doing that. So Josh, we're excited to have that for this
Nice.
episode. But yeah, we're going to, like we talked about at the beginning, we're going to be gearing up for Devil Wears Prada 2. So we're going to be talking about Legally Blonde, Confessions of a Shopaholic, Cruella, The Intern, Devil Wears Prada, and all that to kind of get us in the mindset for a fashion movie that's coming out this Friday. So let's start with the one that I think was the most surprising when I looked up a list of movies about fashion, that Legally Blonde popped up on the list. And I was like, huh. But then after kind of thinking through it, I was like, oh, that she's super fashion sensitive and fashion knowledgeable. And she uses that to her advantage. Even in the final court case, it like comes back. So pretty cool. Basic rundown is Reese Witherspoon plays a blonde sorority girl. She's the leader of this sorority. Everybody loves her at this, basically like a state college campus. Nobody really thinks big of her. She's just kind of a fun ditzy blonde that's kind of smart because she's leading all these organizations, but nobody expects much of her outside of that. Well, her boyfriend says he's going to law school at Harvard, so they can't be together anymore. So she decides she's going to take the test and she's going to go to law school too and surprise him. Well, she gets there and everybody's treating her poorly because she's a ditzy blonde. She looks like a ditzy blonde, but she ends up putting all the work. She ends up getting an internship with a law firm. They end up doing this case, and she ends up cracking the case, solving the case, and winning the case for her client at the end of the movie. And so just a fun, You know, it's one of those movies that's just kind of fun to watch.
Mhm.
You're not like in for a big, like multiple twists and, you know, Christopher Nolan, you know, type experience, but you're just going to walk away with a big smile on your face because you had a good time. So, Kristen, share a little bit about Legally Blonde, like what it means to you and like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I love it. Didn't it come out in 2004? I think.
2001.
One. Okay. Just such a fun movie. I love Reese Witherspoon. She can play really deep characters like in Johnny Cash, but she can also play that other spectrum where she's just fun, you know, airy, but just committed. Just some fun lines like, "You got into Harvard?" And she's like, "What? Like it's hard?" You know, and her fashion, her staple color is pink. But also Jennifer Coolidge is in this movie.
Mhm.
I remember her from being Stifler's mom on American Pie.
Yep.
But that was fun, and then she was, "Hi." He's so cute. But then, she has her little dog.
Mhm.
Hang on, what's his name? Bruiser. She's
Bruiser.
got her little
Bruiser, yeah.
Chihuahua Bruiser and always has the matching outfits. But yeah, I just thought it was just a fun movie, and, also has who's the other actress from, American Pie? Was it American Pie?
Some Blair.
No, it was the girl who no, she's from the one that had the whipped cream.
Oh, Ali Carter.
Ellie Carter,
But
yeah.
it did have Selma Blair as the new
You're right. Yeah,
girlfriend.
yeah, yeah.
And that was also from Cruel Intentions, which Reese was.
Yeah, her and Reese were in Cruel Intentions together as well.
And then
Yeah.
Ali Carter from Varsity Blues.
Varsity Blues.
Yeah.
James Vanderbeek, shout out, rest in peace.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Just-
she played the convict that they were trying to prove that she didn't kill her husband.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just the fact that she was able to solve it because of her fashion knowledge and the different things that goes into a perm. And then it's like, oh wait, you were in the shower, even though she kind of was like, but
Yeah.
yeah, I said I was in the shower. Anyways, I love that movie. It's great.
So that moment reminds me a little bit of My Cousin Vinny, right? Because she knows cars, and so she's on the stand and she's like, you know, going off on well, you'd have to know this and this and this. So it's
Well,
kind
it's
of
funny. It's funny you say that because that's what Reese based her that ending scene in the courtroom. She based it off of Marissa Tomei's monologuing "My Cousin Vinny," so
There you
that's
go.
why it felt that way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, Jennifer Coolidge. They also had what was it? The pop, lock, and drop it.
Oh
What-
no, the bend and snap
Yeah.
Oh, goodness, snap.
Yeah. So and then she knocks that mailman out.
Yeah,
breaks his nose,
yeah.
but they end up together.
hmm Yeah, I will
Yeah,
say.
Jennifer Coolidge, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. She's great, and I mean, she's the one guy that does the interviews that does all the impressions now. Like he does a great Jennifer Coolidge. It's so great. But to see her kind of come back a little bit, like with White Lotus, she's been in the last 2 seasons of White Lotus. To kind of see her, she is still playing kind of that ditzy woman kind of character, but it's more serious. It's more, you know, while it is still comedy, there's still like she's got some acting that she has to do in that too. And then the other thing I was going to Luke Wilson plays the kind of the boyfriend or the kind of the love interest. He's recently graduated from law school and he's like a understudy or an under lawyer of the attorney that they're working for, and he ends up pairing up with her for the final case because the main lawyer had Jeff Bridges, right?
No.
Who was it?
The you're talking about the guy who ends up being a creep.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Victor Garber. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and so he ends up hitting on her, making a pass at her, and she leaves the room. That kind of ends up being a nice little, kind of like one of those dramatic twists. Like everything's going great, and it's like, oh no, now they're at odds again. But that ends up turning out to her favor because it comes out. I will say a lot of stereotyping in a 2001 film compared to 2026. So 25 years later, a lot of these things and all of these jokes and maybe a lot of these comments and all these actions probably wouldn't have been like good to do like in a movie. But I think especially the kind of the fact that he's hitting on her as a student, but then like it coming out and being like a big deal. I think that's good. But she kept her mouth shut. Like she didn't say
Yeah.
anything, which in 2026, you know, we would hope that she would be able and feel like she could say something. That was just
At
kind
least
of
to
a,
somebody.
yeah, that was kind of a cultural difference I felt was different with the 2001.
I also liked when she was in her first class where she brought in a pen and paper and everybody else had their laptops and she hadn't read the required reading. And so she got called on and then she before at her other school would have been fine, just kind of like playing cute and whatever, but she was asked to leave. And so it just kind of told her, oh no, they're serious. We need to like really lock in. So
Mhm.
she did.
Absolutely. Last thing I wanted to say was I felt like that there was this sense of her character didn't really go through a character change through the movie. The people around, she is the catalyst for change with the community that she joins. So she's kind of like that. It's kind of like that fish out of water type situation. She's a ditzy blonde now in this really prestigious law school, working with this law firm, working with all these other. So she's the one that's out of water. But the way that she treats people, the way that she cares for people, is different than everybody else. Everybody else is trying to use everybody as a stepladder. They're trying to, beat down everybody else so that they can shine and rise to the top. She's trying to help everybody. She's trying to help the clients. She's trying to help it, and she ends up kind of changing the way that the people around her act. So her character, while she gets smarter, and she of course gets a law degree,
And her clothes change.
yeah, her and her clothes change, yes, but I think her character, the same character of care and love and optimism that she had in the beginning of the movie, she has at the end of the movie. But the people around her are now more optimistic because she's in their life. I just thought that was a cool kind of. Sometimes these movies have your main character is going on a journey towards self-discovery, and she was more going on a journey to change the world, and everybody around her was discovering how they should be living their life differently.
Because she knew who she was.
Yeah.
And she stayed true to that.
Yep, absolutely. And she knew that if she did what she was supposed to do, that she was going to be okay. And where everybody else felt like I have to put everybody down to make myself look better. Yeah, absolutely. All right. It is now time for the Legally Blonde Backlot breakdown. What you got, POPpaGoss?
So a couple things. We also left out some fun cast members. So Holland Taylor, she's an older woman, but she in real life is married. She's been in a bunch of movies and TV shows. She played Leslie Mann's mom in the Brendan Fraser George of the Jungle. A lot of people might know her from that. She always kind of plays like a snarky, whatever, I'm better than you type character. She ends up being fine, and she's a professor in Legally Blonde. But in real life, she's married to Sarah Paulson, who's a very talented actress. So they're a real life, a big age gap, but they're a cute couple. And then one of my favorite is Oz Perkins. The director he's the kind of like weirdo guy on campus that.
Yes.
So Oz Perkins, who is the son of Anthony Perkins, the famous actor from Psycho and many other things. He directed Longlegs that came out recently, The Monkey. He's becoming a huge name as a director. So I just thought that was really funny because he's an actor, and I think that was like his first like somewhat big performance in his career. So he was just getting into Hollywood.
He was kind of the nerdy
Yeah,
guy.
he was the like kind of quiet one, and there's that one famous scene where Elle kind of helps him because that pretty girl is like ignoring him, like even talking to him, and Elle's like, she's like, "You broke my heart, you didn't kill," and he's like, "What?" And then the girl changes her mind. She's like, "Okay, let's go out."
Let's give me your number.
So yeah, Oz Perkins is in it, and then the young daughter who in the big trial scene was played by Linda Cardellini, who's been around for quite some time. And she was still kind of early in her career for this movie. And she's actually going to be Mrs. Voorhees in the new Camp Crystal Lake TV series on Peacock. So I cannot wait for that.
And she was just in the HBO show DTF St. Louis.
I haven't seen that show, but I saw her picture on the thing. She's been around. She's in the Avengers, and she's in Scooby Doo, the live action. She was in the two movies that James Gunn did. So I've always loved her. I think she's just delightful. So this movie, she's not very nice. She's kind of a bratty little whatever. But and then going back to a fun fact, going back to what Kristen was saying about the multiple clothes changes, Reese's character Elle has 40 different hairstyles throughout this entire film. So that's a lot. I mean, I now only have one hairstyle because I have no hair. But I can't imagine even when I had hair having that many different hairstyles. So over the big courtroom scene is based off of that. There were a lot of big actresses that weren't huge at the time necessarily, but they were up for the role. Charlize Theron was up for it, Gwyneth Paltrow, Alicia Silverstone, who, had been huge in the 90s. But she kind of took a break from acting at that point. So she's just now coming back. Katherine Heigl, who, was kind of big in the mid 2000s. Mila Jovovich, Jennifer Love Hewitt. So kind of all those, they were all lumped into kind of one, I'm sure Sarah Michelle Gellar was probably up for it at one point. And then Christina Applegate was actually offered the role first, but she had to turn it down. She turned it down because she just didn't want to be typecasted as like a dumb blonde, kind of role, because she was mainly getting those throughout her career. But yeah, it's a great movie. I mean, I had never seen it until we were prepping for this podcast, and which was crazy because like,
Really?
yeah, I don't know, it never at the video store, like both, I think the first and the second one came out while I was working there, and I just never took them home and watched them. And not that I was against it because I love Reese Witherspoon, but I don't know, for some reason I just never watched him. So then I was pretty amped when we were gonna put it in this, because I'm like, oh, now I can finally watch it. So I'm glad I did, because like I enjoyed it. I thought it was super funny. I see why it has left a mark on fans for so long, and now there's like a musical, Legally Blonde the musical, and I'm sure they're gonna make another. I think they might actually be making a TV show version of it. I thought I heard that, but I could be wrong. So I mean, it's been in the pop culture zeitgeist for over 25 years now. So I can see why people love it so much. But I found a lot of fun things in it that Allie Larder's another actress. She's great in the stuff she has in this movie, but she's like kind of making a comeback now too. Like she's been in a couple of TV shows, and I mean, I don't know what she does to stay so, like, she looks the same as she did in Varsity Blue. I'm like,
That's
she
what I
looks
thought
better
too.
than she did.
Like
I'm like, what do
50,
you
like,
do,
still,
man?
yeah.
It's crazy, but yeah, so it's fun to see all these, fun actors and actresses kind of work with these. Selma Blair too, like, her and Christina Applegate are both battling MS in their careers right now, and I know Selma's doing really well. I'm hoping Christina. I know she had to go to the ER as of recording this. I think yesterday she went to. She had I forget what it was. Something internally happened, but hopefully she'll pull out of it and it'll be all right. But yeah, it's Selma Blair did a couple interviews recently talking about her MS, and she does really well sometimes, and other times it's just tough. So I can't imagine going through that. But she had all this stuff up to this point. Legally Blonde, Cruel Intentions. I always love her in Hellboy, the Hellboy 1 and 2 with Ron Perlman. So, yeah, it's just a fun movie. So I'm glad we got to watch it.
Absolutely. So we're going to move on to Confessions of a Shopaholic. This one stars Isla Fisher, who plays a young lady who is addicted to shopping. She lives with a roommate. She's not able to pay rent because she's in so much credit card debt. She loses her job. She's trying to get a job at a fashion magazine because she so much loves fashion, and she ends up getting one, but she also ends up just continuing to like buy and buy and buy. She can't say no, and it basically ends up putting her into a very difficult situation. She decides she's going to wisen up and get better, pay off all her debt, and she's going to sell all of her stuff kind of towards the end of the film to try and get back out of the thing. But she does get a job at a major magazine, but it's not fashion. But she starts doing this green girl in the green scarf article that ends up getting a lot of buzz on that magazine, and everybody loves it for her. But it also like just kind of shows her character just kind of continuing to struggle with what it means to
It's her own identity.
and survive without just being in mounds of debt. So yeah, the fashion ends up being her thing that she leans on, and by the end of the movie, she does grow in this one, as opposed to the Legally Blonde one, where this one she does try to become more of an adult and learn how to be better financial sense. So.
Yeah, it was a money magazine that
That's
she
right.
started working
Yeah.
for. So I thought Isla Fisher did great. She's super cute, just plays that adorable, like you just love her character so well. I think the turning point for her was when she was selling all of her clothes, just trying to pay off the debt. But she sold the maid of honor dress that was for her friend's wedding. And so her friend saw this homeless lady wearing the dress, and she was just torn apart and said, don't come to my wedding. But it was the collection guy like hounding her and calling her work. And like, it is just kind of comical because they're not people coming after you like that. They'll come after you and your credit score, but they're not going to find where you live and work and like, catch you shopping. So anyway, she does try to join a kind of like Alcoholics Anonymous or NAA group, support group. So she does try to get help there. And then Hugh Dancy, actually, this is the first time I'd ever seen him. So he was a nice love interest in this film. And
yeah, he was the head of the financial magazine and hired her. And then we also have known him from The Path, which is a 3 or 4 season show on Hulu with Aaron Paul as the main character and Melissa Monaghan as his wife. And then Hugh Dancy plays the head of the cult that they're all a part of. And then also he plays the detective that Edward Norton played.
That's where I know him from.
Yeah.
I'm just now putting 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, that's a really good
show. He just doesn't have a facial, like, because he's got kind of like a scruffy look on Hannibal, and in this he's like super clean shaven.
Yeah. So, yeah.
But yeah, it's a cute movie. I mean, I wouldn't like go out and just watch it just to watch it, but it was fine.
Yeah. What I will say about the movie, well, also has Kristen Ritter. Kristen Ritter plays her best friend that she's living with. Like Kristen said, they have a falling out because she had to get either this fancy dress or her bridesmaid's dress back from the Goodwill or whatever. And she's like, oh yeah, from the homeless lady.
Yeah.
And she gets the fancy dress instead of the bridesmaid dress. But that's one of the things I think that she's a character that's hard to cheer for 90% of the film. Like, because she continues to make that every time you like want her to make the right choice, she continues to make the wrong choice until the very end when it all kind of comes down, and then she does have that turning point, and then it's like, okay, cool. And then I think she was selling the green scarf, and someone, I think it was Hugh Dancy's character, bought it for her and then gave it to her at the end. So it was kind of like this nice kind of ribbon or scarf bow.
Oh, good.
On top. So yeah, I agree. Cute movie, not one you kind of pick up, just because. I mean, some people probably do, but I'm not one that would just kind of pick this up and turn it on. But I was glad that we watched it, kind of rewatch for the episode. Yeah. All right, let's go. Backlot breakdown. What you got?
So, just to preface, a lot of the movie, I think all the movies we're going to talk about all some way reference Reese Witherspoon, even if she's not in them. So I thought when I was doing my research, I was like, okay. Because like a lot of them, Reese was either like up for the role or like it was based off of, a role that she did. This one is one of those. She actually was offered the role first before Isa Fisher, and she turned it down because it was too similar to Legally Blonde. So she turned it down. Jessica Alba was up for the role. Jessica Biel was up for the role. Anne Hathaway was up for the role, who we're going to talk about soon. Amy Adams, Emily Blunt, who we're going to talk about. Amanda Bynes, Rachel McAdams. I mean, tons of people were up for it. Lindsay Lohan was up for this role. And Kristen Scott Thomas played the main fashion designer, magazine editor or whatever that she was trying to work for. And she's kind of like not evil in the movie, but she plays that persona really well. And apparently in the book, because this movie was based off of I haven't read the books. There's apparently there's a series of 10 books that it's based off of, and I think it was called The Secret Dream World of a Shopaholic Abroad, and then the novels that these were based off of were Confessions of a Shopaholic Takes Manhattan. And in the book, there's a reference to Kristen Scott Thomas. In the book, Rebecca Bloomwood wishes she was someone really cool like Kristen Scott Thomas, who stars in the film. So I thought that was interesting. Cool. And then this movie came out during the Great Recession, 2009. So we had the Great Recession. And so they changed the ending. That way the main character was a little bit more sympathetic to the audience. So they changed that because I think the original ending was probably more lavish, I'm assuming. And shopaholic is actually not the medical or correct term for people who are addicted to shopping. It's actually oniomania, and that's the term for compulsive desire to shop. So that's kind of fun. And there was just one other thing I think. I just wanted to comment on Isa Fisher. I've always been a huge fan of hers. I think she doesn't get enough roles where she can show off how funny she is. Specifically, there's a scene in the movie where her and Hugh are like dancing, and she's just being like goofy as heck, and like it's very like authentic. Like I could just see her doing that in real life, just because she's done that in a couple of other movies. But like, her physical comedy makes me laugh so much, and just the one liners that they give her in most of her comedic roles are just she delivers them so well. And it's crazy in real life. She's married to Sacha Baron Cohen, Borat, for all of our audience. So I just always, when I think of her, I'm always like, man, that's such an odd couple, but so awesome too. So
I have a funny comment about that, the one-liners. So when she was in Wedding Crashers, my favorite part where hang on, y'all gotta tell me, what's the tall guy? Who was she?
Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn.
Vince
Okay,
Vaughn,
so when
yeah,
Vince Vaughn had scraped his knee and he was sitting on the toilet and she was like,
yeah,
"Go take care of him." She's like, slaps
she
it. And she's like,
slaps
"Am I
it.
just another notch in your belt, Jimmy?" And he was like,
Yes.
he goes, "No, no, I don't even wear belts." And she's like, "I'll come find you."
It's that scene is so funny because I say that to Jess sometimes, just jokingly. I'm like, I'm just another notch on your belt, because like, and it's because of that movie. But
She goes, "I just love that face. I'll come find you."
no,
She's so
that
great.
was the first time I had ever seen her. I mean, I think that was like her big breakout, because she had done some other stuff. Because she's originally from Australia, I believe.
Really?
Yeah, so she most of the time she plays an American accent, but she actually has like an Australian accent if you ever listen to her in interviews. But she just plays Americans really well. So yeah, Wedding Crashers, she's super funny. Joan Cusack, who plays her mom in the movie, they have a 14-year age gap. That's it. So like that's kind of funny, but
Gotcha.
yeah, her parents are played by Joan Cusack and John Goodman, which I mean they're legends. So I thought they were really funny in the scenes that they had.
Really
Um,
touching and like very heartfelt. Like
yeah,
they felt like just great parents that wanted to support her, also wanted to give her
yeah.
space, like just like trying their best to parent her.
Well, and
Through
it's a
trouble.
good it has a good message. Like, so many of us struggle with. We might not be like addicted so bad, like, we have to pay off all these things, but a lot of people deal with that, and it not just like with clothes and fashion, it's with everything, like, collectibles, with traveling. People, go into debt just traveling the world and stuff. But yeah, we all kind of deal with it, and I thought this movie did a good job of not being like too silly, but like also taking it a little like there's some serious heartfelt moments as well. But yeah, Isa Fisher is amazing in it, and this was another one that I for years had not seen, and I'd heard so much about it. And for this episode, I was like, oh yeah, I'm finally gonna watch it, and I'm so glad I did, because I think out of all the ones we're gonna talk about, like this is one of the ones I had the most fun with. I
Really?
really enjoyed sitting down and watching it. So
That's
check
good.
it out if you haven't watched it.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to The Intern. This was when I saw this being advertised, I was like, this is the craziest mashup I'd ever seen. Anne Hathaway, who we're going to also talk about in Devil Wears Prada, she plays a lady who has basically started her own like online store, online clothing business, and it's just blown up out of like really super fast. And so she needs someone to help her. Meanwhile, we have another guy, Robert De Niro. The Robert De Niro, he's retired, but he's like, hey, I need to figure out something to do with my life. And so he decides he's going to get an internship. And he ends up getting an internship at this store, online store. So he gets basically paired with all these young people. He ends up going on, like, basically just sitting at a computer and just being there in case somebody needs something. But over the course of the movie, he ends up being a huge supporter of her character, her family, like gives her tons of advice because of his great wealth of knowledge and his wisdom and what he learned in the business world for his entire career. And just ends up being a huge, huge support for her. There's lots of drama when it comes to the board. The board is like worried that she may not be the best CEO. And so they're thinking about bringing somebody in, and he supports her that she, she's the one that understands this. So it's just a lot of cool. Like, this one is not as silly as the other two. This one gets it. This one's really just there are some funny parts, but it's really just a nice drama, character work. Anne Hathaway and Robert De Niro just being on point in this film. So yeah, The Intern. Had you seen this one before?
I'd seen this movie before and I really enjoyed it. I thought that, I mean, all of the characters did so well, and just the new age and kind of how like Anne Hathaway rode her bike in the store, and just everybody, it just seems very modern. Like what
Open, like, yeah,
open concept.
yeah, everybody's just around desks and you can see
Yeah,
everything.
kind of reminds me of like how I've heard Apple has their stores and their company, but there were so many different twists and or like what was that? Similarities to Devil Wears Prada, like call outs. So I love the similarity of like when Robert De Niro came to Jules' condo and saw her in a vulnerable state. And that is very similar to when Anne Hathaway went to Miranda's condo and saw her in a vulnerable state. The younger employees really took to Ben, and it was cute because it was kind of like they were like his father figure, their father figure, and just were asking for advice. And then also, they were asking for clothing advice and like how, hey, how do I look nicer? And he's like, well, tuck in your shirt, put on a belt, that sort of thing. But then also where Harry Potter was the manuscript that Miranda asked for in Devil Wears Prada. And that's what Ben loved to read. So just some really like, I noticed those. I wrote those down, but I just love this movie. It's just such a feel good movie, and how Robert De Niro was able to go in and really help Anne Hathaway's character and just support her and allow her to feel safe and comfortable, and like you don't have to have it all figured out, and I'm here for you. And also she gave him that comfort too of, being able to help somebody. So
I've never said this about Robert De Niro. He was so cute in this film. Like, that's
Oh,
the
I
word I
know.
put. Like,
Yeah.
just like
Yeah,
the best like grandfather figure for these
exactly.
characters. He just played it it felt so natural and authentic. Because we're used to seeing him as a tough guy. We're used to seeing him,
Hmm.
you Meet the Fockers even.
Mobster.
He's the tough guy in that, he's but in this, he's just so cute and just so caring. And I just love that. I did think it was cool. Like, some of the things, like, she's the executive, she's the owner of the company, yet she's still taking turns on the customer service line. I thought that was cool. Like, she really wanted this to feel like, hey, we're all just in this together. We're all a family. We're all pitching in. And it was just getting out of her control because she didn't have the skill set yet to manage all that she needed to manage as the owner, but she was trying to take care of the customers and her employees and everything. And so it's just a really cool movie, and just a different side of the fashion industry that you don't normally see inside the actual shops, or like the company and how it's managed. So that was a lot of fun. All
Yeah,
right,
love this
Backlot
movie.
breakdown.
So yeah, this one has a lot of fun stuff. So it was directed by Nancy Meyers, who is very famous director. She's done like The Holiday, which is one of my favorite holiday films every year. I used to watch it with my mom. Like my mom, we love that movie. So that movie means a lot to me. The remake of The Parent Trap with Lindsay Lohan, which is a super famous one that people love. She was actually nominated for an Oscar for her screenplay for Private Benjamin in 1981, which starred Goldie Hawn. And then she also did What Women Want with Mel Gibson.
love that.
It's Complicated with Alec Baldwin and Meryl Streep. Something's Gotta Give with Jack Nicholson, and I think
Diane
was
Keaton.
Diane Keaton. Yeah. So she's done all these films. She's worked with some really famous like composers and cinematographers. She's worked with Hans Zimmer. Let's see, three times. She's worked with Alan Silvestri, who is most famous for like the Back to the Future song score and all that. She's worked with him twice. And then my favorite, she's worked with Dean Cundy, who worked on The Thing as the cinematographer. She's worked with him 3 times as well. And a huge milestone, she passed Penny Marshall. This was a few years back, but she passed Penny Marshall as the highest grossing female director in history. So
That's
her
great.
movies, and I think she directed 8 films total. I believe. Like she directed some TV shows and like produced a lot of stuff as well. And I think Nancy has worked on more than her, but she also a tie. They have a ties to each other. There's a movie. I don't know if our audience has seen it. It's came out a long time ago, but it was called Jumpin' Jack Flash with Whoopi Goldberg and
Oh, yeah,
Penny Marshall. Penny Marshall directed that movie, and Nancy actually wrote the script for that movie. So they actually worked together at one time. There's a Workaholics reunion in this movie. We have Adam Devine, and then Anne Hathaway's husband in the movie is Anders Carlson, who's also on Workaholics. And it really interesting. Like we get to see a more dramatic acting style from Anders, which we're not used to. He usually is a big goofball and all that stuff. So that was fun. The ties with Reese Witherspoon to this movie, she was actually cast as Jules originally, and she had to drop out just because of, I think, scheduling conflict. But yeah, Reese Witherspoon was originally supposed to be Anne Hathaway's character, so she comes back again. There were some references to older De Niro movies throughout the movie. There's a scene where he's in the he drives Jules around a lot in the movie, like in Taxi Driver. He does a double fist bump with one of the younger intern guys. That's a reference to Raging Bull. And then his shave, he gets a shave like an actual like blade shave. And that's the reference to the Untouchables, the mobster movie. So a little bit of De Niro references, and then Renee Russo is in this movie for a little bit as well. She's like the in company like massage therapist or whatever, and
Yeah.
her and Robert De Niro start dating and stuff, and they actually work together in Showtime, which was a movie with De Niro and Eddie Murphy, where they do like a cop show or whatever. And then her and De Niro were also in Rocky and Bullwinkle, the live action. They played the villain, so it's pretty fun. But yeah, I really love this movie. I've seen it. I saw it when it first came out. I was still working at the video store. I think I rented it. I watched it probably 2 or 3 times at least at the video store, and then it's been on streaming off and on. And I think I own it somewhere in my collection. But I love Nancy Meyers. I think she just has a real knack for like getting like serious, but like there's humor, and she just touches all the bases with whoever I think she writes most of her movies as well. So just very talented, and she just knows who to cast, I mean, all her casts are incredible. They're all super, tons of Oscar nominations and wins and stuff, and she knows how to like kind of hone it all in so that it doesn't feel like it's going to be overwhelming. Like each character, even the smaller characters, get something important to do in the movie, which I really admire about her. So Anne Hathaway and De Niro are so good in this movie. I mean, they're always super talented, but I just thought they were perfectly casted for this movie. So I love The Intern. I think out of all the movies we're talking about, I think this is like my favorite one
I agree.
of the 5. So
It has so much feel.
yeah, it's just so good. And I mean, I rewatched it for this, obviously, but like I said, I'll put it on when I see it on streaming, like to go to bed at night sometimes, just because it's just a fun movie.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to another one that was an interesting one for me when it came out is Cruella. This is one of the Disney live action films. They had kind of started doing these villain characters. Maleficent was the first one, and then they ended up doing Cruella, who of course is the main villain in the 101 Dalmatians animated movie from way back when. But Emma Stone plays Cruella, who is who's the daughter of a lady that seems to be kind of like she has a connection with this really rich lady that does fashion, and then ends up being killed by her dogs, by 2 Dalmatians, which is why Cruella hates Dalmatians. That's when she was younger. She basically goes to Britain or London, and she ends up growing up on the streets, meets up with a couple of guys that help her. They end up working together. She ends up going undercover to work at the fashion company that the lady that her mom knew. This is one of the funny parts for me was she went there because she actually wanted to work in the fashion. But Paul Walter Hauser kept saying, "Well, what's the angle? What's the angle?" You know what? Because normally they're doing a heist. Normally they're doing some long con, and they're gonna get, you know, steal stuff, and because that's how their life is. But she's like, no, there's no angle. No, there's no angle. I just want to do this because she's wanted to do fashion her entire life. And then, like towards the middle of the film, when it actually flips around, she realizes this lady is the one that actually killed her mom. She's now going to take her down, and he goes, "I give you the angle." Just such a great delivery. Paul Walter Hauser was so great in this film. One of the other things I'll say about this film is the music was just on point. Everything was that kind of that vibe, that 50s, 60s rock and roll vibe that was just so much fun. Her real name's Estella. So she ends up working at the company and doing well, and then her design gets stolen, you know, by the lady. And so then there's a bunch of, so it's basically she's playing like a spy, and then she's got her Cruella persona that she puts on, and she's like this other fashion designer that's making all these huge epic showcases and stuff. Really great visually. This is so great. The one where she's got all the newspaper like clippings as like printed on things. She's just the train of her dress, just ridiculous. And the
What about
dumpster,
the
the moth. Like
moths?
she made an entire dress out of these beads, and it looks beautiful, but they don't realize that it's actually moth eggs or
And they
moth
place it.
cocoons, and they put it in there with all. Yeah, I mean, just really clever like choices on like how they were going to continue to take him down. Emma Thompson plays the main bad guy, and she ends up throwing this party at the end to highlight something. But Cruella sends out all these, you know, wigs and outfits for everybody to wear at the party, so that they all look like Cruella to honor her death. And then she ends up showing up and then proving and showing to everybody that she had actually killed her mom, and she was kind of arrested or whatever. And so then Cruella takes over, and now she's the fashionista. Everybody wants to be her. So really, really fun movie. I didn't know what I would think going into it. I think the first time I saw it, I thought it was fine. Watching it again this time, I thought it was I really did have a good time with it. Like I said, all of those set pieces of like her and the setups and the cons. I mean, it felt a little bit like Ocean's 11 a little bit, and it's kind of fun stuff. So
I absolutely love this movie. I loved it when we saw it in the theater. Emma Stone just plays such a great role. And honestly, the 101 Dalmatians was one of my favorite movies as a kid. I love dogs, I love animals, but just I have that movie memorized. And so when we saw it in the theater, the character of her playing Cruella, like driving the car, and the Horace and Jasper, they embody those characters so well. It almost looks like the drawings of 101 Dalmatians was based off of these people. And so just the fashion, it's funny. I'm not big into fashion. I don't like name labels or whatever, but I can respect it. And it was just so cool. I would definitely recommend going to see it. The acting was on point. Everybody was just the twists and the turns, and it keeps you engaged. And it was great.
yeah, the one other one I'll call out is there's a moment where I think it's when she first jumps on the scene, and there's like a dump truck, and it dumps all these dresses or whatever, and then it pulls away, and she's standing on it, and the train of her dress is taken. But she has the black paint across her face, and it says the future, you know, because she's the future of fashion. I was just like, just visually, just looked
cool.
so cool. Like the whole movie just looked great. It was shot great. It paid homage to the cartoon in such a tremendous way. And all of the twists and turns of the con and the tricks and just really fun. Backlot breakdown, Mr. POPpaGoss.
Yeah, so I agree with everything you said. I mean, it's super fun. It's kind of sad because when this movie came out, it was like right after the pandemic or during the pandemic, so it didn't even go to theater. Well, it went to theaters, but it was like a small run, and I didn't hear much about it when it came out. Like I knew Emma Stone was in it, and I saw the previews, but the previews didn't really do it for me. I was like, I mean, I'll watch it eventually. I just don't, whatever. But I'm so glad I did, because I mean, it was not anything like I expected it to be. I mean, it does have ties, obviously, to the like animated film. This one, we get kind of a backstory on why she doesn't like Dalmatians. That it's not really a spoiler, but like the Dalmatians kill her mom or whatever, or she thinks they do or whatever. So she has this disdain because she has other dogs in the movie and she likes those dogs, but Dalmatians she doesn't like for that reason. But yeah, this was directed by Craig Gillespie, who's done some pretty awesome stuff. He did Lars and the Real Girl with Ryan Gosling. He did Fright Night, the remake of Fright Night with Colin Farrell, which I thought was actually pretty well done. I'm a huge fan of the original Fright Night, so that's a big one to take on. He did I, Tonya, and then he's doing Supergirl, which comes out this in a couple months now. So I'm really, after watching Cruella, I feel like Supergirl's in good hands because he's got some really creative shots. There's a scene in the movie that I was just like, my jaw dropped because I was like, that was so freaking cool. And they do like an overhead shot through the top of the I guess the museum or whatever, or the gallery. And then it goes like one by one through like each room. But like I don't know how they did it. Like they come in through the glass ceiling and then they like go through each of the floors and then they go back and then they go all the way back to find Emma Stone. And it's kind of funny because she's like, they make her like a janitor at like that's her first job in the thing. So she's like scrubbing the bathroom at the end of the scene. But it's just visually such a cool scene, and like the thing you said about the different fashion things that they put out. And I mean, what better person to play this character than Emma? I mean, I'm sure she snagged this role without any fight or anything from anybody. So the costumes, I mean, obviously since it's all surrounds fashion, they got an Oscar-winning fashion designer named Jenny Beavan. And she actually worked on Mad Max Fury Road, which she did like a lot of the costumes and stuff for that. And that actually, I think, ended up getting her this job. But she created 277 costumes for Cruella. 47 of those were just for the main character, that's a ton of costumes to make. So shout out to costume designers because that's insane. And then one last thing, the animated character of Cruella DeVille was based off of Alfred Hitchcock's movie The Lifeboat, which if you guys have never seen that, it's a really good one. People are stranded. The whole movie takes place out on the ocean. People are in a lifeboat, and I think it's supposed to kind of reference like the Titanic, but they don't say that it's just kind of like based off of that. But Tallulah Bankhead is the like main actress in that. And that's what they based the animated Cruella character off of. Lifeboat is actually playing on the TV in the background of this movie if you pay attention closely. So yeah, I just thought that was fun. But Cruella, very fun movie. I just don't think enough people knew about it, and that's why it wasn't talked about a whole lot. But it's definitely worth your time because it has a young Paul Walter Hauser is in it, and he has a Cockney accent. I guess he based it off of Bob Hoskins in Hook as Smee. That's what he based it off of, which is, you can tell now if you listen to it. So yeah, just I had a blast with this movie. It's super fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Emma Stone, man, I don't know if she can do anything wrong. Like she can do everything. It's crazy.
It's crazy. She started in like Superbad. It was like her first movie she ever did, and now, I mean, flash forward, that was just what, mid 2000s, 2008, I think. So like just less than, like, she's already had a career that some actresses work their whole life to get. Like she's already had like 5 Oscar nominations, I think.
Yep. All right, let's get to it. The final movie we're going to talk about today, which is the original for the sequel we're going to see Friday, and that is The Devil Wears Prada. Anne Hathaway plays a Emily, and that's not really her name, but Miranda calls her Emily.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to bother with memorizing anybody's names. Basically,
it's Andrea. Well, people call me Annie, but
yeah,
Andrea.
Yeah, that's good. But yeah, Meryl Streep plays Miranda, who is the head of this fashion magazine, the best fashion magazine in America, basically, is the idea. She's hard to work for. She's terrible at, like, everybody in the whole place is scared of her 24/7. Anne Hathaway's character comes in and she's just kind of like, doesn't care about fashion. She doesn't know how to dress up nice. Like, she doesn't have any sense of that at all, but she just needs a job. And so she gets this job and ends up being hired as her assistant because she said, basically, I will work hard and I will learn what to do. And she's like, okay, let me take a chance on somebody that's not just kind of a fashion, worshiper, like just worships Miranda. Like, let me just find somebody off the street. So it works out, sort of, ends up doing a lot of cool things throughout the whole movie, just proving herself that she knows what she's doing. She knows how to take care of people. She does end up changing her style. That actually causes some tension between her boyfriend and her friends and her as well, just because they feel like she's changing and she's trying to devote her life to, she's trying to do this job well. I will say that ends up being a point of tension for me in the film as well, because it kind of is kind of like for most of the movie, she's having to devote everything to be successful in this. She has to give up everything else in her life because Miranda is so demanding. But it ends up coming back where they do go to this big fashion thing in Paris. There's a lot of twists and turns around who's going to be, if somebody's going to be taking over the company, if something else is going to be happening, all that stuff. And all the twists and turns happen. It actually also stars
Emily
Blunt as another kind of assistant, the first assistant. I think this was her first movie. And then also Stanley Tucci plays her, like kind of the graphics guy, the magazine layout guy. Like he's the one that knows how to put the pictures and the articles together and all that stuff. And there's a moment that he kind of gets, kind of everything kind of falls apart for him. But he ends up sticking with her because he knows that if he sticks with her, that eventually it'll pay off. But I don't know if it will, because in the second movie, he's still working for her. So we'll see what happens there. But we're excited for the sequel because they're all coming back. Emily Blunt, Anne Hathaway, Stanley Tucci, and Meryl Streep are all coming back. But yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a summary of it. She goes on a journey, and then by the end, she realizes I can't do this because this is not what I wanted. This is not what I set out to do. So she ends up quitting and then working for a very small newspaper, which is what she really wanted to do. And Miranda gives her a glowing review. She said, I hate her, but if you don't hire her, you're an idiot. So that's, so she ends up doing that. In the sequel, it's that she's been tasked with going to this fashion event and basically being paired up with her for like a feature piece with the magazine, with the art newspaper or the wherever she's working now, to do a feature on Miranda. So that's how they get paired up. And she's following her around for the entire like fashion week or whatever. And then of course there's other drama and stuff, I'm sure. Devil Wears Prada.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. I've seen this movie so many times. I have so many of those lines memorized. It does kind of take me back because they do focus on being thin. Like that is their main, to be in fashion, you have to be thin. Now, Stanley Tucci's saying, 4 is the new 2 and 2 is the new 0. And she's like, well, I'm a 6. And he was like, oh, okay, well, you're basically 14. So it's kind of looking at those numbers. And then also when Emily Blunt, Anne Hathaway was like, wow, you look so thin. And Emily Blunt's like, I'm a stomach flew away from my goal weight. It's so empowering. Basically eat nothing except when I feel like I'm gonna pass out, 80 cube of cheese, that sort of thing. So anyways, that stands out to me. But I hadn't seen Emily Blunt in anything. Like you said, this was her first movie. I thought she was just incredible. Really enjoyed her and Anne Hathaway's characters, just how they worked together. I thought the different transition. Anne Hathaway's boyfriend was also in a different movie, I think Drive Me Crazy, back in the 90s, but I had seen him before. So,
and it was in Entourage as the main character in Entourage as well.
Okay. So yeah, they just how the whole transition progresses. And if you're a hard worker and you are committed to doing a job, and personally, I feel like that sometimes hits me too. Like you just devote everything you can for what you are passionate about. And it's like you can't lose that balance, that work-life balance, because otherwise everything else will, fall apart.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think that was the tension that I was feeling. I was feeling also the weight stuff, you better dress nice. The only thing that they commented on was that, yes, we should have balance, because she threw her cell phone away and quit. And that was like, she's giving up on that whole like rat race of like constantly giving her life to Miranda. But they didn't say anything about the weight. They didn't say, there's some other things that it's like, it didn't address like the negative aspects of that industry that I think you're calling out. But yeah, it was kind of a constant throughout of that. I did think that the friends should have been more understanding. They know that this is a big company. They know that she's working for a famous fashion magazine owner, like whatever, like
every girl would kill for this job.
Right. Like the friends like are treating her poorly or not understanding that, you can't answer the phone and be a silly voice to Miranda. Like, what are you talking? Some of that stuff that was like, I thought the friends didn't really understand. I think the boyfriend, I think he tried, but I think there's also a sense where it's like, I get it from both perspectives, because, with the fashion industry and the constant like after the evening stuff that you got to go and the parties you got to go to, all that stuff, like it's out of her hands. She can't say no. It's her job, and she's on call 24/7. It would be kind of like if it was the same kind of thing, like somebody was frustrated with her if she was a doctor and she's on call and she has to be at the emergency room,
You
in the
can't
middle
be
of,
frustrated
you
with
can't
that.
be mad at somebody when they get called to the hospital and it's your birthday. Sorry, buddy. Sorry you didn't, like, I'm with you all the time. I'll celebrate you all the time. Like, I don't know. I just didn't, that was a little bit kind of rubbing me the wrong way with the way that he kind of treated it. I think they needed that for the character. They needed that for the drama of the story, but I wasn't relating to
Him or the friends.
or the friends. And the friends did see Simon Baker like kind of like getting close with her, and I understood her like being frustrated with Anne, that she was kind of looked like she was cheating on her boyfriend, but she didn't see the whole thing, so she didn't know. But yeah, so anyway, and I love that Simon Baker, they ended up hooking up, and then she realizes, oh, you're just a big jerk. Deuces, I'm never going to talk to you again. I really like the way that ended, because I felt like that was that's how it needed to end. I'm glad for the story wise, I'm glad that she was able to kind of move on from her, and kind of see what that life was like, or see what that was. And then, because I think because of that first meeting, we liked their connection in the movie. They had some chemistry. We're like, we'd like to see that. He understands what she's doing. He can help her get a job where she wants. Like, all this stuff might be good. And then for it to flip the next morning, you're like, no, he's just a big fat jerk. And then, so anyway, yeah, that's kind of what I liked the movie. I liked the movie when I saw it the first time. I thought it was really well done, well acted, everything, all the great drama turns and all that stuff to kind of take you on that journey. But like I said, just there are some troublesome things about it that I think we've already talked about. So
Love Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Stanley
Fabulous.
Tucci. Yeah.
Yeah, she's another one who very rarely misses. So
Yep, absolutely. All right. Backlot breakdown. What you got?
all right. So this was directed by David Frankel. He's an Oscar winner, actually. So out of all the directors on this list, he's won an Oscar, but it was for a short film he did called Dear Diary, I think. But he also directed Marley and Me, which that was a huge movie when I worked at the video store. Very sad movie, but yeah, that was a really big one. And the ties to Reese Witherspoon, he directed 2 episodes of The Morning Show, which starred Reese Witherspoon. So I just thought that was funny when I was looking at that up. This is the most expensive costume budget in film history at $1 million. They spent $1 million on all the different fashion stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Meryl Streep's character is based off of Anna Wintour, who's the head of Vogue magazine, and so she was the inspiration for Miranda. And
Was she the one that was at the Oscars when presenting?
So she went with her, to do promotion and stuff. But it's funny though, because she actually was not invited to the premiere of Devil Wears Prada for whatever. I think she got to see an advanced screening, but they didn't invite her for some. I don't know why, but it got Meryl Streep an Oscar nomination. So she's obviously really good in it. It also got an Oscar nomination for best costume, obviously. Patricia Field, but she didn't win. And then, like they were saying earlier, Emily Blunt. This is her breakout film. She actually was discovered on a backlot. She was practicing her audition for Aragon, the dragon movie. And she didn't end up getting that, I don't think. But one of the producers from Devil Wears Prada was walking by and like saw her like practicing her Aragon audition and loved her. She actually Emily Blunt beat out 100 actresses for this role, and she didn't even really like try. I mean, she was just auditioning for another thing and just by chance got picked. And her husband in real life, John Krasinski, he's one of the diehard fans of Devil Wears Prada. He said he's watched this movie like 80 times or something. But she says people approach her all the time because of this movie. Like they quote this movie quite often. And obviously she's back for the sequel. And then just one last thing. I just thought this added to Meryl Streep's method acting, if you will. But the first day of filming, she told Anne Hathaway, she said, "I think you're perfect for this role. I'm so happy we're going to work together." But then she paused And then she said, "That's the last nice thing I'll say to you the rest of the time." And then she went into character, and the rest is history. But I just think that's so funny. But yeah, really fun movie. I hadn't watched since it came out until we were prepped for this, and I just forgot how the whole cast is so talented. I've loved Stanley Tucci. I've been a huge fan of him for a while. He has like a cooking show now where he like shows authentic Italian dishes and stuff. It's really cute. But yeah, just a fun movie. So check out Devil Wears Prada 2, hitting theaters.
Yes. Very cool. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks, Josh, for being here. Thank you, Kristen.
You're welcome.
For our
Thanks
2
for
weeks.
having me.
Thank you, Kristen.
So much fun having you on the podcast. And for everybody that's watching, thanks so much for all your views. We are seeing so many more views over the last few weeks. So we just want to thank you so much for watching. Please share us everywhere you can if you would. That'd be awesome too. Like and share our posts and our reels and all that stuff. It just helps keep the algorithm putting us in front of more eyes and visuals and stuff. But thank you so much for the love and all the likes and stuff that you guys are doing. Like I said, check out the Creators Conversations. We've got another one dropping in a couple weeks with the How to Start a Cult in 5 Easy Steps. So you want to check that out in a couple weeks. But yeah, follow us on Instagram, all that stuff. And we'll catch you guys next week. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to jump over to our website, moviesthatmakeyoupodcast.com, see all of our links. Follow us on Instagram so you never miss an episode, a live stream, or an interview. And until next time, keep watching movies.